Hey guys, how are you doing today? So the video today is going to consist of me taking you around the Tiger Museum down in Bovington with me. So I went down there with my good friend Lee. Basically, we've always wanted to go. There's loads of interesting tanks. I'm a bit of a geek. I'm interested in World War II and warfare in general, never mind tanks because they're an interesting, well, it's basically vehicles, like the most badass vehicles you can get, right? We're both pretty interested in that. But the thing that swung it for us, because we're in Yorkshire, it's like a 5 and a bit hour drive down for us. The thing that swung it is the Tiger Tank Day there. They do that twice a year, and basically they have the only running Tiger tank in the world that's original. It's Tiger 131. I'll go and explain a bit about the Tiger tank in a bit for those who don't know. But it is, I mean, for me, it's a dream come true. I'm not a Nazi, I'm not any of that stuff, but I think the German military in World War II had some pretty cool inventions. I mean, they just went for big ass stuff. So it's really interesting for me to see. I've got some footage of it running, albeit from a bit of a distance, because the showground is huge. Talk a bit now about the Tiger tank and insert some footage of it in action and you know, basically some of its stats and all that sort of stuff. And then we'll get onto the footage of what was at the museum, because there was a load of other stuff there as well, which is really cool. So here I've just inserted some footage of the Tiger tank in action. So this is a Tiger 1 tank. It was produced from 1942 until 1944, but it was obviously used up until 1945 at the end of the war. There wasn't very many of them built. There was only about 1,350, which compared to something like the Sherman tank, of which there was about 50,000 produced, completely pales in comparison, even if it was sort of superior firepower and armour. Basically, the Tiger tank was a super heavy tank that they made. It weighed about 54 tons to 57 tons, somewhere around there, depending on what loading it and loadout it had. It had the famous 88mm gun, which was a absolute beast of a unit. It could, outrange and outperform a lot of other guns. The Germans already used it in stationary guns as anti-tank guns and flak guns. So, it had the range to reach up into the sky up to 25,000-30,000 feet and take out planes. So yeah, pretty powerful gun. Also had two of the 8mm Mauser MG34 machine guns. One was coaxial, which is linked up to the turret, so it aims where the main gun aims, and one is in like a little ball turret, or a ball sort of cupola sort of thing, underneath the turret, which means a gunner, or a secondary driver, which operated as a gunner, could operate the gun and point it wherever they wanted. So it was powered by a Maybach V12 petrol engine, which produces 690 brake horsepower roughly. Now it might sound a lot, but bear in mind it's carrying 57 tons and it's petrol, so it's not as torquey as a diesel. It really started to struggle. It only had a maximum road speed, absolute maximum of 28 miles an hour. So in actual reality, combined with a cross-country speed of about 16 miles an hour, the realistic speed was somewhere around 22, 23 miles an hour, something like that. So, it wasn't the fastest. It was a big, heavy tank. It was made to stand there and stand its ground. Let's see some footage of it in action shortly. First, I'm just going to take you through the Vehicle Conservation Hall, which actually has some other vehicles in it, which isn't normally open to the public, but due to it being Tiger Tank Day, it was. So, let's have a look through here, see what we saw. So that was the Vehicle Conservation Centre and the museum. Now we're going to take a look at the main event, the parades outside. Enjoy.
Now the issue about the Germans and their motorcycles, German industry in the 30s, we have this idea with all these very sophisticated looking bits of kit, half tracks, etc., motorcycle combinations like this. Their motor industry was actually way behind France and Britain's, much smaller. And one of the points we were making earlier on to various people, in World War II, the Germans actually used more horses than they did in the First World War. So there's a bit of feast and famine going on with the German military. So amazingly sophisticated, well-designed vehicles, as well as the use. 80% of German transport in World War II is actually horse transport. The motorcycle combinations, the Germans were quite clever how they used them. They were used even in the Panzer divisions in 1940. As I mentioned earlier, when the Germans start designing a tank, they've already been doing some secret experiments. They've been tying up.
Now, next up is the clip of the Tiger, and honestly, it was just unreal. Hearing that whine of the transmission, it just sounds, and the engine, it just sounds like every video game, every film, every representation of it I've ever seen. It was just incredible to see. After the Tiger had blown us all away, they brought out a range of other vehicles. Up next is the tank from Fury. So it's a Sherman Firefly with the upgraded 76mm high velocity cannon. And this was actually, he mentioned it in the, I didn't know earlier, I'd touched it earlier on in the day and been around it and thought, yeah, that's a cool reproduction. Turns out this is actually the one from the film. They'd lent it to the filmmakers and they'd actually filmed this. That was incredible to find out, absolutely incredible. After that, there was a whole range of other vehicles coming out, so I'll put them in order, and then finally, to finish off the day, there is a drive-by from the Tiger tank. So as it goes back to the Vehicle Conservation Centre, Vehicle Conservation Hall, it gets to drive within touching distance of view on the road, and that was the last point of the day before we left, and it was worth staying for. It was great.
Trying to find a reliable engine, and when it did go into service with a Meteor in the back, it was actually a very effective fast tank. 105 L7 gun that was designed to be put on the Centurion tank. The Centurion was upgraded and started way back with a 17-pounder, then a 20-pounder, then this 105 gun. Why everybody liked that gun, the Americans use it, is for the size of gun. NATO wanted the Bundeswehr to be reformed. So in other words, let's get a German army. We might need them if the Soviet bloc was to attack in the Cold War. Therefore, the Germans started their own tank program. And it took about 10 years. On the end of the barrel, and that cap has a mirror, and the light is bounced back inside the turret so that they can register if that long barrel is going to droop or anything. The other thing they do is they put a jacket on the barrel to try and select it.
Alright guys, that's the video wrapped up for today. So yeah, it was absolutely incredible. Got to see the only running tiger tank in the world, got to see a host of other really cool armoured vehicles and tanks and all that sort of stuff. There was also, I couldn't capture any footage because it was so dark, there was also a recreation of the World War I trench systems, which was really cool insight into how it must have been. You know, it was immersive. There was barbed wire around us, there was dead bodies, you know, propped up everywhere. It was, the Tank Museum is just a really cool place and they do some really cool work. If you haven't been, if you live even remotely near, I would recommend definitely checking them out, heading down. If you live far away like I do, 5 and a bit hours, I'd recommend waiting until there's like a special day on or something, so a Tiger Tank Day. I think they're running another one in September, so if you can book onto that, it was like 20 quid for the tickets, and that includes the parade and the walk around the museum and the Vehicle Conservation Hall. I'd seriously recommend doing it. So yeah, get a few of you together and go check out some of the equipment that they have in the Tank Museum. So I'm going to call that video here today. So thanks for watching guys. If you enjoyed this content, please do give me a thumbs up. Please do leave a comment down below. If you have anything, you know, any opinions, anything you'd like me to do, anything you'd like me to talk about, please leave that down below as well. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really does help me out. 34 subscribers at the moment, so I'm trying to get that figure going up slowly. You guys are the people who can give me the feedback to make it happen. So if you do that, I'll hopefully do this and go up. Go up? Yep. Alright, in focus. Cool. Alright guys, thanks a lot then. See you later.